Ayahuasca called me. My life was quite chaotic. I was gifting too much of my energy to others.
It literally talks to you.
It's a very personal, individual journey.
It felt like it was in a different dimension. Eventually, I surrendered to it. I felt a spirit lift me up, push my back up, and said to me, "You've seen enough." And I purged.
My body went into convulsions. My body went into just shaking. It was so beautiful because I knew what it was doing.
Maybe I'm struggling with anxiety, depression. I've been to the therapies. I've done different things. I don't want to take pharmaceuticals. And so the medicine can be that gateway opening to your own healing.
Allow yourself to communicate with it. It's nature. It communicates to us, because I hear it.
To be able to clear and release, energies, toxicities. I've worked through a lot of inner child stuff.
And this is the medicine. This is how it works. This is how magical this becomes.
Welcome everyone to the Reconnect Self podcast, the show that helps you ultimately rediscover what brings you joy. My name is Scott and I am a filmmaker and your host for today, and I am here with my wife, Tracey, who is a counsellor of some 20 years. Yes? Hi babe, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm excited about today's episode.
Me
We have
too.
a couple of good guests. First time we've ever had two people on the show, but before we jump into that, let's do our little sponsorship. Which we don't have a sponsor, we have us, so we're sponsoring it. This show is brought to you by the Reconnect to Self retreat and the Reconnect Relationship retreat. We have one coming up. The individual retreat is in August and the relationship retreat September?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. And do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
So individual retreat, we are looking at ways to connect back to ourselves, ways to regulate our nervous system, come back to our inner child, everything that's going to be nurturing and nourishing for over the weekend, and taking those skills home back into your real life so that you can nurture yourself, as part of your normal routine. And relationship retreats, we are looking at all the skills that we need to kind of have a healthy relationship. So communication skills, conflict resolution skills, intimacy and sex, vision for the future, love languages, we cover it all.
You're getting very good at these spiels. Good job. All right, should I introduce our guests?
Yes, we're excited to introduce these two.
Today, we are honoured to welcome two extraordinary guides in the realms of healing and transformation. Neelam Taylor is the visionary behind Awakening Breathwork Academy, bringing over 30 years of experience in holistic counselling, yoga, and trauma-informed breathwork. Her work has touched the lives across the globe, from the sacred lands of Peru to the serene landscapes of Bali. Neelam's mission is to support individuals in awakening their true selves and embracing profound healing journeys. Adam Stuckey, the founder of Let's Just Breathe, is a dedicated somatic breathwork practitioner, that's a mouthful, and trauma-informed coach. His personal journey from overcoming childhood trauma has fueled his passion for guiding others towards nervous system regulation and emotional well-being through the power of breath. Together, Neelam and Adam co-facilitate the Vine of the Soul, which is an ayahuasca retreat in the heart of the Peruvian Amazon. This 14-day immersive experience combines traditional plant medicine ceremonies with breathwork and integration practices, offering participants a sacred space for deep healing and self-discovery, which is what we're going to focus on today. So welcome to the show, Adam and Neelam.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Amazing
much. Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
So I'm really curious, how did you guys get interested in ayahuasca, and what is it for those that don't know what it is?
Okay, for myself, the call for ayahuasca came a few years ago for some reason around 2020. I was meeting people who had been on these plant medicine journeys, and I was really curious about it. And so I started kind of looking into it, but it was actually a moment where my adult daughter, who's about 30, had an experience with DMT that shifted her whole life. And I had been watching her from a teenage years and she was around, 25 at this stage, or, something like that. And she was really struggling with a lot of mental health. And she'd had this experience with a psychedelic, DMT, and it shifted everything. And she became that person that I always knew her to be. So I was like, whoa, I need to find out about this. I want to know more about this. And I began sort of looking into it first of all through YouTube, and seeing, what people were experiencing. And I just had this calling that I just wanted to go to Peru. But then the world went into lockdown, and I was planning that I wanted to, I was going to go, like, right, it's 2020. I'm like, okay, how can I get myself to Peru? How can I get the money to get there? And, I was thinking, in about 6 months, but then things happened and it just couldn't, I couldn't do it. So until we came to things when the borders opened, and, that calling was still there deeply for me. And then Adam was he was looking at going to Peru. So I'm like, yeah, I want to come. I want to do that. So I set off. We went together, but we went individually. So I went to Argentina and then Mexico, and then we met up in Peru. But I spent 6 months, myself personally, I was 6 months in South America, and I was looking. I didn't really have any plans. I was just really following my nose, following the breadcrumbs I wasn't like, oh, that's the place I'm going to go. I was waiting until I met the right people. I met people on the streets in Mexico that sent me to my first ayahuasca journey in the jungles of Tulum, and then from there into Peru, and ended up in several different places where I was experiencing the medicine, and I was doing it alone all the time. Like I just, I met someone, okay, I'm going to go to this ceremony, I'm going to go to this ceremony. And so some of my initial ceremonies were with Western shamans who had spent a lot of time in Peru studying the medicine. And then I came to the Shipibos, and I went to the jungle. I was planning to do a dieta, which is a dieta is when you are taking, the shaman will prescribe a plant for you. It's not necessarily a psychedelic, but you are on a special dieta, meaning a diet.
Yeah, I've heard about
medicine.
this.
And so I was on a Bobansana dieta, but that place was, it was not a good experience for me. I actually was supposed to be there for a month, and I left after a few days, and I was threatened as well in that time.
Oh, how frightening.
So it was all fine, but I understood that, set and setting is important, and finding the right people was important. And this wasn't the right place for me, so my intuition told me to leave, and I left. But then I came across somebody else who, it was in the same area, and he said to me, someone I'd met in Sacred Valley, and he said, I'm going to see my shaman. So, I said, okay, I trusted this person. And then I found this really amazing center and really amazing Shipibos, which, that's fantastic. So, but through all my journeys there was always a strong message. Like they always knew, for some reason, without them telling who I was, they knew I was a facilitator of healing.
Wow.
They would pick it up
on it,
right?
yeah.
They would, what sort of ceremonies do you hold? Things like that. They would say stuff like that to me. And so, and the message was coming through clearly that I was to bring other people to the jungle, that I was to help others find that passage. And I think that's why I did so many different types of ceremonies until I found what was the way to do it for me in the correct way and in a safe way as well.
Yeah, that's
so
important.
that I felt supported, that I got the best from the medicine. So that's how I got to be introduced to ayahuasca. And yeah, there's a lot more.
Yeah, they say that with ayahuasca because that was actually what I got interested in the very beginning of my psychedelic journey in terms of my studies, was hearing all these podcasts with ayahuasca and people having these profound experiences where they open their mind to different concepts and things about the world that they never had before. And all these practitioners that were, very Western trained and very educated, all of a sudden they were more open-minded and more interested in, holistic practices, and it had always been through doing a plant medicine, and usually it was ayahuasca. And so initially I had that draw to it. I don't so much anymore, but I really see the appeal of that. Like I really was so hearing and wanting to know so much more information about that for a period of time.
So how did you introduce Adam to it, or how did you get involved, Adam?
No, ayahuasca called me. Mm-hmm. It was something that I was fortunate enough to. I've dealt with a lot of mental health, so mental health's played a big sort of role in my life from childhood and things like that. That's why breathwork facilitation is so important in what we do. But ayahuasca called me pretty similar around the same time. I had a friend here in WA in Perth, who was part owner in a retreat in Peru. I'm a landscape gardener by trade.
Yeah, right.
So nature's been something that
that's true.
that I've always been fortunate enough to be connected to. Mm. So it's been really beautiful. A friend of mine actually introduced an opportunity to go to his retreat that he was part owner in and volunteer there. It was a perfect timing. It was perfect timing. My life was quite chaotic. It was I was facilitating, holding space for others, but personally, my life was I wasn't looking within myself. Mm. I was gifting too much of my energy to others, and it was affecting my relationships. It was affecting my life. It was affecting my direction. So, this beautiful opportunity presented itself in Peru. Okay, and then from there, and that was the whole intention of going there. It was the medicine was calling.
And was this the same time, or was yours earlier, or like I'm trying to get a timeline of when this happened.
We Adam got that, as he said, that invite to go to Peru, and I wanted to come along. So we actually travelled together, but I went and did some tantra training in Argentina and then Mexico, so that we later met up. But we didn't do a journey together until this year.
Oh, really?
Wow.
No, we did all of our medicine journeys separate. So we spent time together in Peru, but also separately. But none of our medicine journeys were together.
And
was that
on purpose or just the way it played out?
For me, it was. It was something I had to do for myself. Mm. This is a very, very personal, and I get emotional expressing it.
Yeah.
It was a very personal place I had to take myself.
Yep.
It was it.
Yeah.
There was suicide tendencies. There was deep emotion there of how do I get myself through this? Mm. There was a lot of avoidance. Even having the skills to do the breath work and all these techniques and studies and everything that I've trained myself to get myself through these situations. It was definitely this call of ayahuasca that supported me to discover my inner self, my soul, connect to my soul and align it with nature. That was the magic of all this. I'm very nature orientated.
So that's about as full on as it gets. So I need to know, what happened? You're talking about as low as you can be. So tell me about what happened next.
Oh, yeah, go through the process of even, what a ceremony would look like and what people would kind of go through, with an ayahuasca. Because I've obviously heard so many podcasts and stories, so I know this, but my audience wouldn't know any of this.
But specific to you.
Oh, yeah. Your journey. Yeah, what did you do?
Well, first I got to this retreat space that I was volunteering in, and it was beautiful. I was able to grounding, connecting, and I was creating beautiful healing spaces, which is what my passion is.
Yeah.
But then the call came. It was finding the right place.
Yeah.
It's finding the right place. There was opportunities. You research. You make phone calls. You email. You do your inquiries. And already your soul knows. Your soul knows. By the energy, it represents yes or a no. You'll feel it.
Yeah.
You'll feel it. You speak to other retreat spaces and things like that, and you'll know their integrity. You'll know the communication. You'll know their intention.
Get a sense of it all.
Absolutely, you have to really allow that to represent the space. Otherwise, you're going down another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You're going down the rabbit hole, and as we're saying, this was. And this, again, it does make me so emotional for the process that I allowed myself to go through.
So vulnerable, yeah.
I'm so honoured that I did it this way.
Yeah.
And finally, I found the place.
Take your time.
So I checked myself into this place. And fortunately enough, it was literally 40 minutes away from where I was in this retreat space where I was staying. And discovered this place, and off I went. And met the maestro. And it wasn't one of these luxury resorts. Okay, it was a place where they selected who they chose to come, and got there and met the maestros, met the support staff. Met people that were staying there. The people were staying there for years. There were people living. Yeah, absolutely. As Neelam mentioned before about dietas.
Yeah.
People were actually living there on dieta.
Oh wow.
Okay, so and it was amazing. It was almost again like a voluntary place to be. There wasn't this. The costing was realistic.
Yep.
It was supportive. Met the maestro, met the support staff, and from there we dieted, and then we started our journey, and it was a beautiful. I was actually there for 8 days, and my first ceremony was in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning. It's interesting, you know, one of the support team yells out, Ayahuasca, and then the people who want to come into service.
Oh wow, that's how they do
into
it.
ceremony.
Oh, that's
present
interesting.
themselves.
Even the fact that it's morning, I've never heard of one being
Yeah,
in the morning before.
they did 2 ceremonies a day.
Oh,
So 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.
yeah, I've always heard the nighttime ones because I've always
Yeah,
heard that it
yeah.
kind of goes through the night and things. Oh,
and
that's
it
interesting.
was quite beautiful to actually experience both
Yes.
to feel. But I started as a morning.
Yeah. So tell what that looks like. So that's drinking a cup of.
Yeah, so it's a small dose. It's a small dose. The shaman comes up and visually looks at you and screens you, and their honesty, their integrity is.
So you're trying to doing a wellness check almost.
Absolutely,
in that way.
100%. It's as they say, eyes are the gateway to the soul.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was able to, and there was people that showed up at the time he would reject.
Oh wow. Okay. So he is actually
Absolutely.
really assessing and making sure.
Yeah. And my first ceremony was quite interesting because it was quite. There are many different ways to receive the medicine. This way we received the medicine was we would drink the medicine and you would purge.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a big powerful cleanse, but when you purge, you were invited to drink water. Okay, you're invited to drink as much water as you can.
Okay.
All right, and my body, I was refusing my water, and then the shaman's going, please drink, and I'm there taking little sips of this water. He said, no, you need to really scull this water down,
Yeah.
and I was rejecting it.
Do you know why? Why were you rejecting it?
Well, now I do.
Yeah, but at the
Now
time
I
you
do.
didn't know.
At the time I didn't. No.
Yeah.
Well, then the reason I was rejecting it is because I was sitting in my own pain.
Ah.
I was sitting in my own pain.
Yeah, wow. Gosh, isn't it interesting, all those little things that come up that you don't realise at the time what's behind it?
Yeah, and my ego was protecting me. You know, like when I was purging, it was you know, bile coming up, but it was aggressive. It was so aggressive.
Yeah.
So nothing was coming out.
Right.
All right, but that's what the water's for. The water's there to line your internal, to create that smooth gateway.
So that's what's going to come out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and that's what they were saying. You're not actually drinking the water. The water's specifically there to create the gateway and the lining for the purge to come out.
So when you say you're rejecting it, were you just saying, no, I don't want it, or was your body spitting it back out?
It was my subconscious, I think, my protecting me and we know what the ego's like.
Yeah.
When the ego doesn't want to release something, it's not going to. You know, so the medicine was ready to activate, but I was rejecting. My nervous system was rejecting the opportunity to release.
So you were putting it in your mouth.
I was sipping, and when I was asked to gulp,
Yeah.
until I got to the stage where I thought, okay, I'm going for this.
Yeah.
Gulp, and then straight away, the purge came.
Wow.
The purge came, and then everything activated.
Yeah.
The medicine activated itself.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so when you're having the purging, that's just you're feeling nauseous, you're feeling like you want to get something out. Like, what is that feeling like?
Yeah, definitely. It's you do feel it. It's
Because with mushrooms you have the nausea. They say that it's kind of bumpy at the beginning and then it sort of takes off after that, so you don't stay in that nausea sort of feeling.
The first experience of it was quite overwhelming, especially when you saw your environment around you, the other people around you were purging and things like that, and not experiencing it before, not knowing that the purge was part of the process.
Yes, I knew that this is part of it. That's why I've always been like, oh, can I do that?
Yeah.
But it does sound like it's an important part because you're like getting rid of all those.
Oh, it's so
things.
important. It's definitely so important. It's so important. So I was at that place for 8 days, experienced several journeys in that 8 days, and it transferred so much. It just really opened up an insight to who I am, my direction, my purpose, my mental health.
Yeah.
So how does that happen? Does it sort of a message will drop in when you're in that experience, or you're getting visions? Like, what does that sort of feel like?
There's many aspects of what can come through that. There's the visions. There's the psychedelic. The DMT activates. The pineal gland opens up. Your environment changes, like the dimensions, the things. The shaman. The medicine comes through the shaman.
And the shaman are often doing, are they called icaros or icaro? I can't remember how they say that, but like songs that they're doing that just naturally come through them that can also support the participants in the journey with their tones or with their...
That's Neelam can explain a lot more of that, because like this retreat I was at, it was in silence.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This was in silence.
So it was different to what I've heard.
Our journeys are very different.
Oh, that's good. Then you've got different experiences to compare.
Like what Adam was talking about, the drinking, the opposite. We're told not to drink.
Oh.
So you could have a little sip, but you weren't to drink for the first hour. Then you could have a little bit of water. So different traditions say different things.
Okay.
And most of my journeys have been with the Shipibos. So though I have done some with the Western, which is more of a, there are some centres that are more like just a health orientated, where it's more of a cleansing.
Right. And
the dietas and different things like that. So most of my journeys have been where there's Icaros or Icaros, people say in different ways. And even the Western shamans that I had sat with were trained by the Shipibos, so they still sang the Icaros through,
right,
which is a medicine in itself. And some of them just sing that with, and you don't necessarily even have to have the medicine, because the ayahuasca, the ayahuasca actually speaks through the shaman or the maestro. Shaman, it's actually known as maestros in South America.
Yeah.
So it tells them what to sing. So as it's actually singing for you.
Yes, I've heard
and
this.
And it's actually the words that are coming out are vibrationally. Sometimes you can't understand them, but sometimes they're even, if the shaman knows English, they will say even in English, because it's directly at you. So it's related to you. It's like a channel.
Yes, I've heard this. That's why I thought that was so special, because
Yeah.
it did seem like when people were in a tough situation, and all of a sudden, if they had an Icaro sung over them or whatever, it could clear something,
It's
or
so-
something could shift. And I'm like, wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah, it's so amazing. One of the things I love about ceremony is like you go into the ceremony, and everyone's, sitting, you got your own, like your mattress and things like that. And then, each person comes up to the shaman and they get given their drink, which is just in a small cup, and you drink it in front of the shaman. And often during that time, the shaman will, they give it to you. They might, blow some mapacho, which is a tobacco on you, or something, or they often use this flower water, and they put it in their mouth and they spit over you, over your head. So it's just clearing the energy.
Yeah.
And then you go away. And so everybody's had their medicine, but it takes a while for the medicine to start to activate. When you come into ceremony, so once everybody has been served, then you just sit back, you relax, you meditate, you just stay, you're just in yourself. And there's silence. There's just silence in the space. And then suddenly it always like would surprise me. Well, not even surprise me, but I just loved how as soon as the shaman, the maestro starts to sing the Icaros, that's when your medicine gets activated.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, he or she, like often I've been in ceremonies where there's both maestros, that are male and female. And there's also the word corundos as well, which is another sort of term for those who are singing the Icaros. And then they would start singing and you could feel the medicine getting activated.
You just feel it in your body?
Yeah,
Wow.
you could feel it. That's when
Is
it
it scary when that's happening?
Sorry?
Is it scary when that's happening?
No, not at all. It's just like that's when, I guess it's a little bit like when you start to feel the effect, the substance effect, so you start to feel, you're going on the journey. You start to see some psychedelic images. You start to feel like a little different. It comes on slowly. It doesn't, it's not a dramatic thing. It's slow. And then, what the maestro is singing is activating it as well, is activating the space. And then, you're in the journey. And the journeys can take, usually all the ones I've been in, they've been in the evening, starting around 8 o'clock at night, and they go till sort of around 1 a.m.
Okay.
And but there's always purging as well during that time. And I found that once you did purge, often the medicine got more activated, or that's when after a lot of them, some people get 2 servings or 3 servings, but not until you've purged. So once you purge, then the maestro will offer you more medicine. Also, what happens during these traditional ceremonies, at some point the maestro will call individuals up, or they will come to your bed and they will, so you either go up, sit with them, and they will sing particularly for you. So this is when you're in a group setting.
Yeah.
They sing them particularly for you and do a clearing. And, this is when, like I remember my very first one, I was really elated because as he blew the mapacho, I just saw the butterfly, the ayahuasca butterfly.
Wow.
And then the jaguar came to me. So I had those
So these
beautiful
visions.
but I had my eyes open.
Oh,
and
you
the
had your eyes
butterfly-
open, it was-
Yeah, my eyes were open. And it came with the smoke.
Oh my
It was like
goodness.
magic.
Oh, that would feel like magic. That
Yeah.
would absolutely feel like magic.
And then other ones where they came up and, I loved one of the ceremonies I went to where, the maestro would smoke the mapacho, blow it over you, and then he'd give it to you to finish it.
Oh.
Yeah. And I still have those because I don't smoke. I had a little bit, but I kept them.
Yeah.
And they go with me in ceremony.
Oh, I love that. The
know?
energy of that, of your
So,
experience.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question just for people who might be listening who have never done this or experienced or really looked into it? What actually is the medicine?
The
Well,
medicine,
you can probably answer that better than I can. As far as
The medicine is a combination of plants.
Yeah.
So it's the ayahuasca vine, okay, and there's another plant called chacuna. So chacuna is a leaf, which it's a DMT activate. So you can imagine the experiments they would have gone through in the jungle to actually get this combination, like everything. It's a science, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all the ingredients to actually get to this beautiful medicine.
Yeah.
So it's a plant, it's a vine. Ayahuasca is the vine. Okay, and the chacuna is the leaf. So it's harvested. The ayahuasca is mashed. It's all in ceremony. It's all broken up. It's separated. It's mixed with the chacuna in a big pot, and then it's slowly cooked.
Adam's done this. Adam's actually made it.
Oh, you've made it.
I've been in this first opening retreat I went to. It was quite interesting. It was the day. So I did the ceremony 7 a.m. in the morning, and I slept. In the afternoon, they've woken me up and they've said, "Come with us, come with us." All right, and I was still
Under the influence a little bit.
I was sort of disorientated.
Yeah.
It's still under the substance of the medicine. And they've gone, we're inviting you to come and to harvest the medicine with us. So here
What an honour. What an honour to be asked.
Oh, it was, that's, again, this is why you know when it calls you.
Yeah, it's so special.
So I've had the beautiful opportunity to climb the trees, to harvest the vine, to mash the vine, to cook. I've actually had that beautiful opportunity both in Peru and in Ecuador. Ecuador is a very, very similar experience to Neelam, the way it's been harvested and prepared, and the Icaros and all the Shipibo and things like that. So it's I've been very fortunate enough to experience some different traditions.
And do they have different, I don't know if recipe is the right word, but different ways of preparing it in different locations?
I'm sure there are. Like you find again the intention of the cook. Okay, obviously it's different grades. Sometimes you can just have ayahuasca cooked by itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically prescribed as a cleansing medicine.
Oh, okay.
Okay, if you're putting companion plants in, then that will activate its intention through the DMT, through the insights that the medicines, and the shaman will know that. The shaman will know, and the shaman they will have several ingredients and bottles to know what to serve each person that comes in the space.
So how do you go from you both done it, you've both had your own experiences, to then deciding we are going to run our own retreats? How does that happen? How do you find the right people that you want to work with, and the location and all those things?
That's why I think you've got to go through it yourself to really see what you liked and what you didn't like, and then tweak it to...
Well, with this particular retreat, the Barn of the Soul, this was basically it was independently with me, and Adam now has, I've invited Adam to come along on the retreat with me and help co-facilitate it. But so originally, it came out of one of my medicine journeys from in August in 2023. So I did this journey in August in 2023, and after that I wanted to take people to that same location. I went, this is perfect. So I started planning it and created the Vine of the Soul. It has slightly changed since its original inception. So I had 7 people who had asked to come with me. So it was just myself. I was going, and I had the center, because I'd basically, Vine of the Soul is a path that I've walked to the resort that I've stayed in the same place, to taking people to exactly the same place, to the, you know, using the same guides and doing the same journey. So, and, you know, when Adam heard about this retreat, you know, through his experience, so, you know, and as partners, we're just doing things together now. So
you also co-facilitate beautifully, like for the training that we had in Bali, having the energies from both of you. You both have different strengths and wisdoms and things, and you came together so beautifully. I couldn't imagine have not done that with both of you.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what we do in life. So we're doing these things together. But, you know, just to give you, like, the Vine of the Soul was inspired by me because of an experience I had in the jungle that wasn't, I don't want any woman to go through that.
Yeah.
So my desire to create this retreat was for safety for women, while it's open to men and women.
Yes.
But safety for individuals, because I trekked into the jungle as a woman on my own with not knowing anyone else.
I can't believe you did that. I would never have the courage to do that. That's such
Exactly. Most people don't. And it was a little bit silly of me in a way. Like, you know, things could have gone wrong. And, you know, I look at I have a picture on my phone of me sitting in the back of a four-wheel drive when the maestro came and picked me up in Pulkapa. Like, first of all, this was the first one I went to I was going to go there for a month. And, you know, it was recommended to me through an American woman that I had met. And so I trusted that she, you know, had done her due diligence, and but the thing what she hadn't was she had met this maestro at another centre where he was working at, and now he created his own.
That's so different.
With his brother in their own centre, and so it was a new centre. So she felt that they would be fine, but they weren't.
Yeah.
And literally, I was a cash cow.
Yeah.
And there, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, the Indigenous in Peru, like many Indigenous, are poor.
Yeah.
And so the Western tourist is a cash cow for them. And I didn't know this, but, you know, the first, you know, situation, they were to pick me up at the airport. You know, they were an hour late. I had no phone reception.
Oh, that'd be so stressful. I'm
like, what? I'm in this, like, you know, it's not a city. It's more of a town with a small, you know, hangar type of airport.
So quite
basic. And I'm like, I was really fortunate that, you know, somebody helped me use their phone and translate and stuff like this.
Oh God, that sounds just.
Eventually, these people, you know, arrive in a little tut-tut thing. You know, the whole family arrive and I jump in, but I'm believing I'm going to the jungle, but they take me to. It's like a, you know, like a community, like a traditional community that's very impoverished, you know, and I'm like, hang on. And not that I was expecting to go anywhere luxury. The jungle is very basic, staying in tambos, all of that. But I was paying good US money to go there. Like, you know, I was paying, you know, like $150 US a day for this experience. And anyway, I couldn't, no one could understand me, so I'm trying to interpret, you know, on my phone, and they wouldn't take me to the jungle for several days, but they wanted all my money. So straight away I was like, hang on, this isn't right. Then a German girl came and they helped interpret. Eventually I got to the jungle, but it just wasn't right.
You said they made you pay for their family stuff, didn't they?
They made me pay for all of their food.
Isn't that crazy?
And then my American friend was trying to interpret for me over the phone. She's arguing with them. And, you know, it was just a big disaster. I did try to give it a go. I did 2 ceremonies with them, you know, and I just didn't feel right in the ceremonies. Yeah. I felt their energy. Like, I mean, I'm a facilitator. I know I'm holding ceremony and breathwork all the time. I've worked for 30 years in the healing space. And this energy was not right.
Yeah, you could feel it.
It was very distorted with something, and, you know, and it was very dark. And after I waited for another girl to come, thought, okay, I'll give it another opportunity. I did. It wasn't improving. And so I just said, no, I'm leaving. But I was like 8 hours by car to that main town.
Oh, God.
And in the middle of nowhere. But it was a community where it was just like, you know, basically the natives living there, quite impoverished and no one spoke English at all. Most of them speak Shipibo, not even Spanish.
Wow.
So it's you can't even get that interpreted onto your phone.
Oh.
Like we have Spanish, but we don't have Shipibo
Oh,
in
gosh.
Google in translator,
Yeah.
right? So there was only the son spoke Spanish, but the father, the maestro, didn't speak Spanish. So it was very, very difficult. But at some, you know, they wanted all my money. And I was like, no, I'm not giving you my money. So I left. But this is how Vine of the Soul, and I got out of there. And then once I went to the other center, which was amazing, beautiful, you know, in a great place. And everything was correct, done, proper health checks, all of that. So this is why Vine of the Soul happened, was so that we've created everything, you know, and together with Adam's experience with ayahuasca as well, we're two very strong facilitators. We have made sure everyone is going to be safe. You know, we screen all of the participants, you know, who are like, we just don't sign up anyone.
Yeah, they're going to be appropriate.
We screen them first to make sure that, especially that their mental health is, you know, that they have enough autonomy to be able to, you know, do this. And so we're getting the right people. And then the center that we're taking them to with a shaman who's English, but he's been working with the Shipibos, this particular tribe, for, you know, 7 years, training with them. He's like an apprentice to them, but he's very experienced in himself. He screens everybody as well for the center, so that once we arrive, every individual person is taken care of, and the medicine, the ceremonies they're going to do, they're going to get the most out of it. Plus, we support them. We're going to support them before and
I
after
love that you're
with the
doing that.
integration.
Yeah.
You know, we start next month with preparation. So we're going to be helping our participants with just cleaning up the diet so that the medicine can be received better. Doing some breath work so that they're also, you know, I have unpacked already some stuff. They've got a bit of a direction of their intentions. And, you know, then we've created a lovely inroad into a really lovely retreat space for a couple of days where we'll do some workshops. Then we go to the jungle, you know, and we'll be there for 10 days. We'll be doing around 5 ceremonies.
Oh, wow.
And then after those, we'll come back. And so there's days in between. And, you know, it's very relaxing, but also it's introspective.
Yeah.
You know, this is your time to really introspect, you know, the medicine and integrate that medicine. What is it teaching you? What, you know, what is it showing you?
Yeah.
Who do you find are the people drawn to coming along? Like, I want to get an idea of who they are and why they would want to do it.
Well, from my perspective, I feel that, as Adam said, you know, people, you are called to it. So someone who will come to this retreat, it's been there in the back of their mind. They're being curious. They've been listening. They're probably listening to this podcast. You know, they're curious about the medicine. They're feeling that it's something there for them, but they're also on a deep spiritual journey, or they're dealing with their mental health. They don't want to work with pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
You know, they know that they are their own healer, because ultimately all of this leads you to realizing that everything is within you. You know, you are the medicine. Okay, this is a teacher. It shows you. So there are people who are, I believe, you know, are intelligent, have a lot of self-awareness, but are on an inner journey. They're on a self-discovery journey, or perhaps even a spiritual journey or self-discovery journey. They're looking for, you know, they want to expand who they are as humans. They know there's more than this conditioning, this programming. They're ready to let go of all of the stories, all of the patterns,
Yes.
all of the ancestral family, collective, society, everything. They want to step into who they truly are.
Yeah, they want to shift, don't they? There's just those people that have had some sort of turmoil or crisis or something, and they're like, I just need to focus on me, or I just need to have something shift in my life to get those insights. And because that was where I was first drawn to it, was probably when I was going through my little friends had moved away, and I was a little bit like, what about me? Where's this leaving me? And so I was just drawn to all these different things. And I think because that settled down in my life where I don't feel that way anymore, the call is not as strong. But then it did lead me into the psychedelic training, which is maybe what it was meant to do. Because I'm still very curious and interested about, all of these things, but just not necessarily for me so much, but I love seeing the transformations. And we had a friend come over once for dinner, and she'd just done an ayahuasca retreat. She did it here in Perth, actually. I don't know how, but anyway, she did it, and she was unpacking it with us, and she still hadn't made sense of it. She was like, it's so fresh that not all of its pennies have dropped and everything yet. So I love that you're having a big chunk of time. People can really step into themselves to really.
It's so important. That's one thing I've, and I'm sure Neelam has as well, is it's not a pop-up carnival joyride. Okay, it's integral. It's integral that we allow integration to be part of this journey.
And I think if you did it in Perth, like for my friend, she didn't take the week off work. Like really, when I think about that, I think really you don't want to step straight back into life, because you're going to miss all that opportunity to, even when we finish our individual retreats and we've had a great experience, if I'm straight away the next day going into work, I don't get a chance to be debriefing with Scott. Oh, wasn't it so lovely that this happened? Or I'm responding to the messages. Like, you're missing all that loveliness just by jumping straight back into life. And so I see that with ayahuasca.
The medicine stays in you. The medicine actually stays with you. Okay, so you've got to respect that opportunity for the medicine to keep activating itself.
Right.
Its channel to come through, its messages to shine through, and honour them.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, as human beings, we're in our sympathetic nervous system. We're born to survive. So we have to activate that beautiful parasite. And this is why it's so beautiful and so powerful. And this is a beautiful thing that ayahuasca it come through and channeled through me, is to incorporate breath work.
Yes, I love that you guys are
ayahuasca.
doing that. I think that's in fact, that's why I did the training as well, because I'm like, that combination of the psychedelic with the breath work is incredible.
The beautiful thing is, and one thing we really got to focus on, is we are the main ingredient.
Yeah.
Okay, we are the main ingredient. If we, and I've spent a couple of years in South America now, and retreat spaces actually have employed me to come in, employed us to come in. Neelam's actually,
that's so
when
cool.
When Neelam joined us, and to actually activate people's parasympathetic nervous system to support them before the journey. Okay, because if we go into a journey of anything with a tight dysfunction of fear, okay, normally we have to dismantle that before the medicine will show itself.
Right.
Well, talk to us about some. So obviously you're having sessions before, then you're doing the experience, and then you're having sessions afterwards. Talk to us a bit about the before and the after. And with the before, like, are people coming in with specific questions they need answered? Mental health stuff. Like, go into the nitty gritty of like what can people get out of it?
It's the before, and like, first of all, I just want to this is Neelam's beautiful baby. This, for her to birth this and to be invited to support her in this, I'm so honoured to represent the support of this. What is going to be amazing. It is totally amazing. I was so proud to stand next to her in this. I've seen how it's come together, and to be invited to support her in this is a beautiful honour, especially as the masculine as well. And to be in the jungle for a couple of years, and then again the medicine called us back as a collective to do it is so beautiful. And first and foremost, the pre. Again, what I'm saying is to find safety, get people to find safety within, discover themselves. Okay, realise, to take that fear away.
And that's you having sessions, like, I assume, like a video call or something together, or?
Yeah, we we put a lot into making people feel really welcome coming on the trip. So we have a travel agent who can help our participants get their flights, but we always interview someone. So we get on a Zoom call. You know, we know everyone who's coming on the retreat intimately, like we've really spent time with them. But as we've set up the pre, which is we'll be starting in June, we'll be doing several breathwork journeys with them. We'll be doing a Zoom where we get together. We've already had one collective Zoom group one, which is because there's actually a third person who's part of this, who's helping us besides the shamans, the maestros in the center, which is Ben Johnson. He is he's actually one of our breathwork students, so he's going to be a breathwork facilitator. But he's worked with the Shipibos for 7 years, so you know, we met him in Ecuador.
That's cool.
Instantly, just had and he's so dedicated to this path. This is what he does full time, is serve medicine. And so we just knew that we wanted him to be part of the retreat because he's, while we both have lots of experience and particularly in our facilitation, he's been like living with the shamans. He's been living with those maestros for years and years. You know, he lives it.
I love that. That's
and right
so
now,
beautiful.
you know, right now he's actually in Dayeta preparing himself for everyone, and then everybody will be doing interviews with him over Zoom. So this is the preparation is quite, you know, we really want people to feel really ready. We're constantly available on WhatsApp, sending messages.
Again, this is the medicine. This is how it works. This is how magical this becomes. So we were living in Ecuador, and all of a sudden a neighbour showed up. My neighbours had been, it was empty. And all of a sudden this neighbour showed up. This neighbour happens to be a shaman. Okay. Wow. So I was supporting shamans in retreat centres in Ecuador and breathwork facilitating and supporting the ayahuasca journeys and things like that. Then all of a sudden the shaman shows up next door.
Wow.
Okay.
What are the chances?
Yeah.
What are the chances? Okay.
Yeah.
And Neelam happened. I'd met this. I knew he was coming. It was from he knew another friend of mine who I was doing a lot of work with. I knew he was coming. I didn't know his skills. I didn't know his quality. I didn't know he was actually a shaman. I didn't know his experience. Yeah. And then I met him for 30 seconds prior to going to facilitate. And I came back, and a couple of days later, Neelam had been introduced. They'd introduced themselves to each other. So behold, he's a shaman. Crazy. Who had been working in Peru, and we beautifully connected. He held some beautiful space for us. Yeah. I had cooked some ayahuasca in Ecuador with other shamans, and we got Ben to sit with us and serve the medicine, and it was so beautiful. What a beautiful honour to be served your own medicine that you've cooked and prepared yourself.
The energy in that would have been so special. And
again, you're talking about magical. Magic is real.
Yes, I agree.
Magic is real.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to share because when that was the first ceremony that Adam and I did together, after all this time of us doing different ceremonies individually in different places, right? We were on this same journey, but individually, separately. Spending a lot of time apart in, sometimes I was back in Perth, Adam would be in Ecuador, as I said, most of the time I was in Peru by my own. And so when I came to Ecuador, one of my intentions, I really wanted to do medicine with Adam. I wanted us to do a ceremony together. And, Adam knew lots of different people that we could have gone to in Ecuador, but I just wasn't feeling... I was just like, oh yeah. I didn't, and I wasn't a yes to anything particular that had come up. And someone was like, it was a bit of a no even. And then the day that I met Ben, and I just, as I'm coming, he was going out of his door and I was going in my door, and we stopped and introduced and chatted. And I was just, it was just a complete resonance with
Just
him, a
knew.
complete beautiful connection. And I'm like, you're who I want to serve our medicine.
So you got that straight away.
I straight away, I just
How
knew.
lovely.
I'm just like, once he told me, like his story and what he does, and I'm like, you're the shaman I
Then you
want.
know the difference in that feeling of what you've
Totally.
been suggested compared to
I was
that
just
feeling.
like, my heart open. I went,
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
You
was
really
such a
honoured yourself to
beautiful
listen to that.
journey. And now we've done a few more ceremonies together with the medicine that Adam's made. But I'm really grateful for that, the space that Ben held for us, and for me it was just it probably stands out as one of the most. Or every journey is just amazing and beautiful, but it was I felt very held.
That
in
feels
that.
so special, it sounds.
That's when as our relationship with Ben grew and we got to know him better, we just knew that he needed to be on this retreat with us as well.
Yeah.
It's really
The best fit.
three of us are, going to be holding, like, just really, really supporting people, in the whole space.
And I think you need that, because for me personally, when you feel held by someone, you can be as vulnerable as you need to be, because they're just there. So for me, even when I was like investigating, ayahuasca in the very beginning and just hearing all these podcasts, I looked into retreat spaces, and I mean, mine were a bit more luxurious than what you guys are talking about. Like, I was trying to, like when you were saying the basic bits and pieces, I was looking at ones where they did have it resort-like. But I always knew that for me, gosh, that's so scary, rocking up in an airport that, is unfamiliar and da-da-da. So I love the idea that you guys are taking people, everything is being supported the whole way through, even the fact that you said a travel agent, even that, like, it's such a small thing for somebody, but that's not when you're on that journey to go, who would even help you with the flights and knowing which city to go to or which thing to get to. So all of it being a package in terms of what you're providing, I think that is just beautiful. And for me personally, that is what I would have been looking for, with that.
I know we want to talk about afterwards, but I also am really keen about painting the picture of what your space. So talk us through, like, what does it look like and how many people might be there, and what happens when the person next to me is purging, and like talk us through like the specifics of it.
So the ceremonies are done in what's called a maloka, which is it's a like a big yoga,
like a big they're handmade. All handmade, and it's beautiful. It's very
Wow.
very raw, very organic.
Yeah. And so it's a ceremonial space. It's a big room. They have toilets available, and each person has a mattress. Mattress pillow, so you're comfortable because you're there for quite a few hours, and a lot of times during the journey you may want to lie down. Some people like to sit up, some people like to lie down. Often during the ceremony, it's like you're in a dreaming, but sometimes you're purging. So you do have they have like little plastic bowls. They're probably, I've never been able to find one here. They're probably very South American, little coloured plastic round bowls.
Purge bowl.
But it can be anything, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got that, but they do try to, our ceremonies will only have probably around about, depending on how big the family is as well, because often the families will come and do, not the children, but there might be the wives or
I didn't know
the
that.
sisters or brothers or something like that, and the shipibos will come. And there'll be other people in the ceremony.
So they'll be doing the medicine as well?
Yeah, they'll do the medicine. Yeah, anyone that comes to ceremony always does the medicine. So, there might be, 10 or 15 people in the space, depending on obviously the size of it. But they do try to keep them, you've got, space between the person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so...
It's a very personal, individual journey.
Do you have an eye mask or?
No.
You're in complete darkness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no lights.
Right.
Usually there's like a candle for when we first come in, but once the medicine's served, they take the candle gets blown out, and they like to keep it darker. And This just wants me to lead on to like a few of my journeys that seems to be a theme that's come through, besides lots of other things. But I remember this one time, and perhaps it was a very dark night anyway, like there was no moon out, and the Maloka had, there were some like windows, not glass, and just fly screening, and but it was so dark. But I didn't think the room was that dark. You can still kind of see a little bit of shadowy and white. But during the medicine, what the medicine was showing me was death and what it was like to die. And it was so black, and I'm opening my eyes, and I had a white top on, and usually you got a roll of toilet paper so you can blow your nose and spit out and things like that. And I'm holding this white paper up, and I cannot see any white, and I'm like, and the medicine's like, it basically is showing me death, and I really believed that I was dead. And it was like going, and I could hear others, and the message that came through to me was that in death, consciousness doesn't die. Our physical body dies, but I was like, I'm not breathing. So it was a whole, obviously, my mind was in that space.
So does that feel scary? Does that feel enlightening
Well,
when you get the message?
There were moments, because now it happens other times, like it's like I go through a hole or I go through a death portal, and I know what's happening.
Yeah.
But this first time I was a little freaked out. I was like, they can't hear me. And that's why I kept looking at the paper to try to go, hang on,
bring me
can't
back.
see my white top,
Trying to figure out where you were in time and space. And
I could hear them singing, but it felt like it was in a different dimension. That's what I felt like. I was in a complete different dimension, and I hadn't had this experience before. But I had to sort of eventually I surrendered to it.
That's the key. Everyone says that. You've got to surrender to it, don't you?
Hence the breath work.
Yes.
Hence
In
the
and through.
I was just, struggling with this, what's going on and where am I? And I felt like I was, buried under something. I was like dead. And then when I surrendered to it, I'm like, well, this is what it is. It's like, this is, and then it felt like literally there was a person that came up to me, but there was no one there. But I felt a spirit lift me up, push my back up, and said to me, you've seen enough. And I purged.
Oh, wow. I love stuff like that.
And it was okay.
That's
right.
incredible.
And this is like how it literally talks to you. I want it in the last ceremony, often feeling someone's moving my top. I'm like, I had this top on in my last ceremony I did, and it kept on pulling it off me, and I'm pulling it back on.
Wow.
Neelam was sure it was me getting up and moving it off. I was facilitating her at the time, and
that's so interesting.
All sorts of amazing, interesting things are happening in the ceremony. You're seeing all sorts of things.
What's the craziest thing you've seen? What's one of the most sort of profound experiences you've had, like insights or wisdoms that have come through that you really wouldn't have gotten probably without going through one of these journeys?
For me, one of the a really important insight that I got, and it was when I was in Peru, and it's all led me into I knew what my purpose was, and I wanted to facilitate people to train as facilitators in breathwork. But I guess I hadn't quite, it was there in my mind, but I hadn't quite stepped into it until the medicine actually told me that I was to do that.
Wow.
So it said, you will train other facilitators. And when I saw that, it just was like I couldn't deny it.
So it just landed.
It really landed. It was a
Wow.
very, profound sight. And also that I was to take people to the jungle. But each time I found I've gone deeper and deeper with the medicine. They've shifted and they've changed. I've worked through a lot of inner child stuff. I've been in the inner child so many times. I'm literally, it's like I'm a little kid lying on my bed crying, just as I was when I was 8 years old, and feeling that, seeing different things from my childhood. So there was a lot of unpacking and releasing the childhood grief that came. And in more recent times, well, actually, no, even probably from about the first few were a lot of inner child stuff. The inner child still comes through, but now I get a lot of spirit coming through, and also people that have passed.
Oh, wow.
Like they literally come and talk to me. I feel their presence. So there's something in there for me that's opening up mediumship, and that was in the journey that I did in Ecuador. That also came through, was that there is that mediumship for me, that I am a medium between those who passed, and this present day. That hasn't fully developed in me yet. It's there, but it was beautiful that the medicine showed me that is something.
I love that. And people are always wanting to know their purpose. So to go on one of these journeys and to have it almost like dropped into you to say, this is what you're going to do. I think that's everyone's dream. They all want to know.
This is, I got emotional when you asked that question, when Neelam was saying that. Because again, and I remember expressing it to Neelam, I had nature present itself to me saying thank you.
Oh.
I was in Ecuador and I was right on the ocean. I had the ocean waves clapping. I had the trees come over me and almost bow.
Oh, how beautiful.
Bow saying thank you.
That's...
Thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It's
So do you think it's really helped you process a lot of stuff that happened in your childhood?
Absolutely. It pulls you into alignment. It pulls you into alignment.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. It's not a push, it's a pull.
Yeah.
Okay. It invites you. It invites you into the soul you are and the soul you're meant to be.
Yeah.
That's what I had the gratitude, and I was sort of me. You're thinking me, and then it makes you sit and see. Sit and see your path, your journey, where you've come from.
Yeah.
The gift you try to be, not just for yourself, but to humanity, to nature, as nature.
Yeah.
I'm beautifully honoured. We are chosen. We're all chosen. We just got to allow ourselves to come into that beautiful alignment.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I think it's so important that you guys have done these journeys and done a number of them, because like what you guys say with breathwork, you can only take people to the depths that you've been yourself. But if you hadn't had all these experiences, when someone's coming to you and saying, I saw this or this happened, if you don't know that's possible, you might not hold space for someone in a way that's going to be really respectful.
Or know how to understand it.
Yeah. So,
and as you know, Tracey, what we teach in the training is you can only take people to the places you've been in yourself, right? So this is important for us. And even now, like for myself with the medicine, because I'll continue to sit with it as it calls me. And now it's also very much like a cleansing and purge from the work that I do, because it's a beautiful thing for empaths to be able to clear and release energies, toxicities from others, or things that are attached to us. When you're working as a healer, the medicine, to me, I see it really now like grandmother ayahuasca as a support facilitator for me, as a facilitator. Like she comes in and she's like a sister, that they're going, okay, thank you for all the work that you do and purging it out. And some of the things that I've seen kind of coming out energetically, and I'm like, I remember like one of in the last journey that I did, these, energies were coming out in my purging that was really like, whoa. And I know that this isn't all mine.
Yeah.
Some of it was mine, but a lot of it it's attached.
Is that accumulation, isn't it, of all those?
We're working with people's traumas. We're working with big stuff, and when you're an empath, you're a sponge.
Yeah, you're absorbing
you need
all
to
of that.
like clear this stuff out. So, I really think that the medicine, it's so great for helping it is a gateway. It's a gateway to your healing. So you can use it like, okay, I'm struggling with some mental health issues, like maybe I'm struggling with anxiety, depression, and I've been to the therapies, I've done different things, I don't want to take pharmaceuticals. And so the medicine can be that gateway opening to your own healing, okay? And then get support with things like, breath work and mindfulness and, other modalities. But you really, like, as Adam calls it, you're biohacked into your healing. Yeah. So you've got that, and then you get on your journey. But then also for those of us who have been doing a lot of work, we've already done loads of breath work and meditation. The medicine's going to support that work even more. It's going to take you another level down, another deeper level, and it's going to all work in synergy together. I'm going to, help you to really, it keeps going.
Yes.
That's the beautiful thing. It does. I did a ceremony just some weeks ago, and it was my first ceremony back in Australia, and I was went out in nature and just a gratitude, asked permission, and medicine presented itself, and my body went into convulsions. My body went into just shaking.
Yeah, releasing.
And it was so beautiful because I knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
I knew what it was doing. And as Neelam mentioned, as facilitators, as empaths, as much as we set a protection around ourselves as we facilitate, energy's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's interesting that as much as I knew this was sometimes energy of others, all right, the medicine was telling me, it is, but own it. And give it back.
Yeah.
Give it back.
I love how powerful it is. I love watching how much it impacts you, Adam.
Oh,
it's just so beautiful.
It's so
beautiful.
To allow yourself to communicate with it.
Yeah.
It's nature.
Yeah.
It's nature. It communicates to us. It's what makes it so emotional.
Yeah.
Because I hear it.
Yeah.
Our exhalation is nature's inhalation. All right.
Adam's also a poet. He's very good with his.
He also has a very good way of, he says something and then he lets it sit. Because it's powerful. What you say is powerful. But you don't feel the need to then
fill that
immediately
space.
Fill that space with the next thing.
It's just allow yourself to feel it.
Yeah.
Feel it. No, that's again, just look at the pause.
And that's what we're not doing in life. We're rushing, going from the next to the next to the next. So we're not sitting in, what are we feeling? What's going on for us? Let me tune in. So, I think it's beautiful that you're creating these spaces that people can actually come, turn into themselves.
This is the medicine, again, the medicine's active right now.
Yeah.
The medicine's active. It doesn't just disappear. This is why integration is so important.
Yes. That's a perfect...
communication.
We should talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
Probably is to sort of finish off the episode is tell us what happens when you come home or the people from your retreat come home. You are in communication with them for a number of months.
Yeah, absolutely. We offer that 3 months integration for our participants. So we're not going to just, see you later from the jungle. We're going to keep in communication. So we will be setting particular twice a month group Zoom calls where we'll be doing breath work and we'll also be coaching. So whatever comes up, we can help those people to process that. Because, when I started with my medicine journeys, I could look back, it was like a year after that I was still integrating those initial journeys from the jungle. And, as Adam said, they're still working through us. This medicine works through our facilitation.
Yeah.
Like I feel ayahuasca every time I facilitate breathwork. It comes through. It speaks to me. I speak it out.
Yeah.
So
I think I love that you guys are holding that container because when I've heard about, people going and doing even, the psychedelics that I'm trained in, they could have these profound experiences, but then they go back into their real world and their friends and family don't know what they've experienced.
Exactly.
They don't know the power of what their insights were. They're kind of coming back into their real world and no one's really getting them anymore. Or they want to talk about their experiences and people think they're crazy because they haven't had that kind of experience.
It's interesting. This is the biggest thing, and this is the biggest thing that, this beautiful energy and space and medicine, and we say these words, we keep coming back, okay? We're never going back, okay? Our environment, when we go
point.
into a space that hasn't shifted and changed, okay, it gives us the tools to actually realise and integrate and come home to self, all right? We don't need things to change around us. The change is within us.
But sometimes that can impact the people around us, because if someone's behaving differently than what they did before and everyone's used to the patterns we're in and everything, it can disrupt relationships. So having that support that you guys are providing, I think, is really
That's exactly
beautiful.
what we're there for. We're there to mentor the participants. They're not just coming on, as you said, they're not just coming on a 2-week trip, and doing the medicine. It is actually a 5-month container. So people could sort of look at, like, I'm putting myself into a coaching, mentoring, therapy container for 5 months, like a program.
Yeah.
And part of that is going to South America to experience the medicine.
There's something beautiful about the intentionality of that as well, of going, this is going to be for 5 months for me, working on me, looking at my stuff. I think that's beautiful in itself.
What a beautiful investment. Honestly, what a beautiful investment put in self.
Yeah, and people don't do that nowadays. People are just rushing and they're giving to everybody else. So
or else
they'll
go on a holiday somewhere for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And
they're not really, they're getting a bit of rest and recovery, but they're not really doing any work to change coming back into life.
That's right. Yeah. And that's what we look at. We, as coaches ourselves, we are looking at what's really going on for that person's life. What is their intention? What do they want to achieve from doing this program, doing the medicine? And so while the medicine is like another facilitator to us, okay, we're all working together, like we're a team.
Yeah.
The medicine, myself, Adam, Ben, the Shapibos, we're the whole team to support the individual to achieve what they want for their life.
This is beautiful.
And that medicine's brought us together to do that. That's the gift of that.
Yeah. But this might be an expensive episode for you, because I might want to do. Ayahuasca after all.
Honestly, please, it's interesting you say that, because do you want to talk about that pricing we're going to offer?
Oh, absolutely. Because we thought doing this podcast, we actually only have 3 places left. Right. And because we're limited to the number of people we can take because of the rooms and beds in the jungle.
Yeah.
So it's only a small group. We're only taking 10 people. We have 7 already. So there's 3 places. And so we've decided to bring the price back to the original price, which was the early bird price, and make it for 7,999 Australian dollars for the whole 5 months. That's all the
really
food,
good.
or accommodation, the medicine journeys, everything.
The security of knowing that you guys have taken care of everything and that you guys have laying it out.
So just to put that into context, to work with me as your coach, for 12 weeks is $7,000.
Wow.
Right? So we've highly discounted this with all of, for what we do. That's just, me doing breathwork and coaching.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, so I'm fully booked with clients like that.
Yes.
So this 5 months with going to South America, with all of that.
And with both of you,
and
both of your knowledge.
And Ben as well. So,
where do people find the information? Do you want to give your website and social media where people can go to take advantage of that?
Yeah, people can find, we can send, it's probably best if people contact us directly through social media, through Facebook, which is Neelam Taylor and Adam Stuckey, and that way we can just, send a DM.
Yep.
And
I'll put links on the screen and I'll
Yeah.
put links in the show notes so that
Yeah.
people can find those.
we're just open for a conversation, find out more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I highly recommend both Neelam and Adam. They are amazing. You guys were so profound on all the things I had on my journey and stuff were so profound that it was definitely from feeling so secure and safe and protected in that environment.
We just love doing retreats.
Oh, and it's funny when you said about, I knew that when I went to that retreat that I'm going to come back here, and that's what, one of the other students and I, we were looking around the space that we were in for our training going, there was butterflies and there was dragonflies and it was beautiful. And so straight away we were like, well, this will be the place. We'll come back here next year. So hopefully we'll be international by next year, babe.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So yes, I love that feeling of you've got that resonance of this is it. So and you've got that feeling with your retreat that you're gonna hold.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else we missed that you want to cover off?
I think we're pretty good.
This is our longest episode ever, so...
Well, there's two
That's a
extra people.
compliment.
Yeah, there's extra people.
Just a big
grateful.
gratitude,
Grateful to both of you to be able to have this opportunity to share what we absolutely love and
So passionate
our
about.
passion about the work that we do. It's really it's our purpose. It's
Yeah.
a calling. So we're here in service
Yes.
to others, and I'm so grateful that we get to share it on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yay, your podcast.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, thank you. You did a great job explaining it all. So well done to you. Well done, Tracey.
Thank you.
I will quickly wrap up with, so as I mentioned, I will put Adam and Neelam's social media on the screen and put it in the show notes if you want to check that out. And if you want to follow Tracey, it's at traceyquayle.therapy. That's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You can look her up on LinkedIn if you happen to use LinkedIn. And if you want to join our newsletter, we send a fortnightly newsletter. You can do that on the website, which is traceyquayle.com. And retreats. We have the individual retreat in August, and Tracey and Tina are running the relationship retreat in September.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. Thank you again, guys. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming.
Welcome.
So
Thank
grateful
you
to see
so
you both, and
much.
thank you for sharing.
Pleasure. All right. Bye-bye.